In this lecture, I'll cover Peter Singer's influential article, Famine, Affluence, and Morality. And the main question is, how much of our resources, our time, our money, our energy, etc., does morality require us to give away? And Peter Singer wrote this article because many people think that sort of charity is something that's good to do, but not required. So that if you don't give to charity, maybe, uh, you know, like, uh, that's okay. You didn't do anything wrong, but it would be better if you did. Peter Singer wants to say that giving away of your extra resources is morally required. So the question is it okay to spend money here in the United States of America, where we have excess on entertainment, excess clothing, cell phones, eating out, etc., when others around the world are malnourished and starving to death? So what if someone told you that you could give up eating out altogether and then save the lives as a result of, say, 10 people per year? You take the money that you would have used per year eating out and you give it away. I mean, obviously, it's got to be an organization that's using the money properly, but, would you do it? And then do you think morality would require this of you, or would it be just okay to do, but not obligatory? So let's think about some moral notions. Number one is some things being obligatory, where it's not okay not to do, to tell the truth, for example. Like, of course, you could dispute this, but it's just an example where people think you're obligated to tell the truth. It's not okay to lie, not okay not to tell the truth. Something is permissible when it's okay to do, okay not to do. For example, playing golf. You didn't do really anything wrong. You don't do anything wrong by playing golf. But it's not morally praiseworthy either. You're just doing something amoral, really. And then some things being impermissible is not okay to do. For example, filling for fun. It would be an obligation for you to not do it. It would be impermissible for you to do it. So Singer starts out with those, ideas and moral notions, and then he starts out with some assumptions as well that are pretty straightforward. And at least the first one is maybe even self-evidently true. Suffering and death from lack of food, shelter, and medical care are bad. I think we can all be on board with that. But number two is where the rubber meets the road. If it is in our power to prevent something bad from happening, without thereby sacrificing something of comparable moral importance, we ought morally to do it. So if you can prevent something bad from happening without sacrificing something of comparable moral significance, then you should do it. What does he mean without thereby sacrificing something of comparable moral importance? Well, what he means is without causing anything else comparably bad to happen, or doing something that's wrong in itself, like, shooting someone, taking their money, and then giving it to the poor. That would be doing something wrong in itself. In order to help the poor, you shouldn't do that. Failing to promote some moral good comparable in significance to the bad thing that we can prevent. So he has an example, a famous example he gives to help kind of get the idea of this principle in mind. So you're walking to work, you're in your nice pants and your nice shoes, and you see here's a pond and there's a boy drowning in the pond. And, he obviously needs help. You know that this pond is very deep. You're not going to risk your life by going in. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to ruin your work pants and your work shoes. And so Peter Singer says that you actually have an obligation to go out there and save this boy. Why? Well, it's in your power to save him. So it's in your power to prevent this thing from happening. The boy's drowning. You're not sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance. You're going to ruin your pants and shoes, but what is that? To save a life. So if you can prevent this thing from happening without sacrificing something of comparable moral significance, then you should do it. So Singer thinks that it would be morally wrong of you to walk away. And again, remember, you're not sacrificing your life. You're not risking your life. It's a shallow pond, but maybe this is a toddler who can't swim and is drowning. Okay, so more on this principle. On this principle, distance doesn't matter. So you've got the drowning boy versus the starving boy in the concrete. You can save this boy with a click of the button, giving to a charity. The $30 a month or something. You could save the drowning boy by ruining your pants. So let's think of the starving boy in the Congo. It's in our power to prevent something bad from happening. We can save him from starving. And we're not sacrificing anything of comparable moral importance. Giving $30 a month, yes, but supposing we have extra, we can pay for our house, or we can pay for our clothes and things like that, our food. Well, then you're not giving up anything of comparable moral importance by saving the starving boy. Therefore, you should do it. So distance doesn't matter. If you think that you should save the drowning boy, you should save the starving boy as well. And on this principle, it doesn't matter if you're the only one who can help or if there are lots of people who can help. So if you're all standing around the pond and no one else is going in, there are 12 people, no one else is going in, you can't just say, well, no, there are other people who can do it, and therefore I'm obligated. No, you're obligated whether there are other people who can do it or not. Okay. So that's the strong version of the principle. There's a weaker version of the principle, which says if it is in our power to prevent something very bad from happening without thereby sacrificing anything morally significant, we ought morally to do it. The difference is the strong principle says comparable moral importance or significance. The weaker principle says anything morally significant. So on the stronger view, the only way you could get out of saving the drowning boy is if there's something of comparable moral importance that you did instead of helping the drowning boy. What would that be? Helping another drowning boy or saving someone else's life. Whereas with the weak version, it's demanding less of you because it says you're not, you don't have to sacrifice anything morally significant. So it could be morally significant, but the significance is very low, right? So, for example, it's morally significant that you go to your daughter's recital. You show up for it when you promised that you would. And so you can let the boy drown on this principle, which seems very harsh, but that the principle allows it. As we'll see when we apply this to poverty and helping others, feeding others, the weak version actually still requires quite a bit from you. So let's look at Peter Singer's argument. Here it is. If we can prevent a great harm to someone without sacrificing anything comparably morally significant, we should do so. This is the strong principle. Suffering and death is a great harm. 3, we can prevent much suffering and death without sacrificing anything comparably morally significant. Therefore, we could prevent as much suffering and death as we can without sacrificing anything comparably morally significant. And according to Alexander Proust, by this strong principle, we should give until you're more harmed by the giving than the starved are by starving. So that's pretty extreme. So we're giving until we're at that level, at their level. If I would have given $1 more, I would have been worse off than them. So you give until you're at their level, basically. And so that requires quite a bit of you. You're going to have to radically restructure your life. How many of us have a Netflix subscription? How many of us eat out? How many of us spend money on clothes when we already have clothes? Now that means that you're going to have to live this very simple life and devote all your extra resources to helping others. And here's an argument based on the weaker principle. If we can prevent the great harm to someone without sacrificing anything morally significant, we should do so. In other words, we can prevent suffering by giving money that we would otherwise spend on morally insignificant luxuries, such as new clothes or eating out. Suffering and death is a great harm. We can prevent some suffering and death through famine without sacrificing anything morally significant. Therefore, we should prevent as much suffering and death as we can without sacrificing anything morally significant. Okay, so by this principle, we should sacrifice all luxuries. Luxuries are not, as far as I can see, morally significant. Eating out, buying clothes that you don't need, that's not morally significant in the sense that, you're not sacrificing anything of moral importance by not buying those new clothes. Okay, so unless you're thinking, well, it's morally important that I treat myself, right? Okay, well, we could talk about that, but on this argument, you have to give away all of your extras, basically. And so those are Peter Singer's arguments on famine and poverty and affluence, and he thinks that you should basically really focus on using your resources to help those in need. And it's not something that it would be good of you to do, but it's okay if you don't do it. He thinks this is something you're morally obligated to do.